All right, so this was a really weird direct for me. And I feel the game that sums up my thoughts the best is Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Because there's a lot of stuff here that I like seeing, I see potential in, but there's some sort of concern I have about it. And I'm just not sure that the title is, really worth it for me, I guess, personally. I mean, with this game in particular, granted, I'm not a big fan of the sort of toy art style, but that's something I can get past. What I can't really get past is the top-down 2D Zelda gameplay style. Which, like I said, it's a shame because for finally get a mainline Zelda game with Zelda being playable, and they did interesting things to sort of spice up the gameplay and feel different from what you traditionally play as through Link. And I think that's great, and I'm curious to see, what they come up with. But I've given top-down Zelda, like, I tried A Link to the Past, I tried the original Zelda, I tried both Oracle games, I tried Link's Awakening. I think that was the first Game Boy one. The other one they remade in this toy style. Not that one specifically, the original one. And I just could never get into it. And it's like, am I really going to give this a fifth shot? And maybe I will, but this is like, sometimes I'll say, I'll wait for a discount. And normally when I say that, I mean, wait for it to be, 33%-ish off, $15, $20. For something like this that I don't have a lot of confidence that I'm going to like, we're looking at the more of bringing back Nintendo Selects, $20, more like 66, 75% off. I don't know. I just really wish they, did some of these things with, I don't know, a different style Zelda game. I don't know. There's some cool things going on here though, and like I said, it's just really hard to work out a decent, honest opinion of. Funny enough, the game I have the most confidence in from the direct to sort of meet my expectations is Hello Kitty Island Adventure. Yeah, because the Nintendo Direct, I felt like started off kind of slow, sort of, not too good for me. That first half or so, and this was the highlight. Obviously, there's the South Park meme with Butters. When I saw they were making it into a game, I thought, maybe if it's really cheap, I'll check it out for the hell of it. But then I saw it was Apple Arcade exclusive, which was disappointing. But then I also saw that the gameplay style was sort of Animal Crossing like, from what I've heard. And especially considering I was one of those people that put a lot of time in the older titles, but just couldn't get into New Horizons as much. Like, I feel like that could maybe help scratch a bit of that itch. So I'm definitely happy to see it hit other platforms. Still no PC release, but I'm definitely curious and will check it out at some point. I think it could be pretty fun and funny of a story, if it is. Will say I'm not super familiar with Sanrio or any of that stuff, so could be an interesting introduction to it too. I know some people really like all those characters in that. Marvel vs. Capcom. This one is still, like, at first it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, the series tends to come up every so often, but just thinking of all the licensing that goes into it, some of the ups and downs of the series, and just seeing them be able to package, not just, Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2, but some of the, X-Men versus Street Fighter, and was it a Punisher game, I think, too? That I don't even think it was a fighting game. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember exactly. But like I said, I would have just been expecting, the Marvels versus Capcom. So it definitely exceeded those expectations. I will say that I don't feel like I was, super interesting to begin with in any of these titles other than Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which I already have. And I'm not one to normally rebuy games unless there's a really good reason for it or it's like dirt cheap. But this is one I feel like I might have to. I do have it on Xbox original, which, it isn't really that convenient to get out and play. And it doesn't work well with Xbox 360 backwards compatibility. So having this on Switch and would be pretty nice. Have that better ease of access, some of the quality of life improvements. Is there? I forget if they had online play with it too. Oh yeah, here's the Punisher beat 'em up. I think that'll be fun too. And like I said, to be able to try out all these other games too. And I'm sure they're all good too. There's just so many games, in my backlog that they just sort of went under the radar. But I think I will cave on this one probably when it goes on its first sale. But it's sort of these, crossover ones that involve licenses and that are a little more exciting to see re-releases of because you just, especially when you're older and you understand some of that stuff more, you just not sure or don't expect these sorts of things often, I guess. Super Mario Party Jamboree. That's a long title. They should have just put 2 or just called it Mario Party Jamboree or something. I don't know. I saw other people saying it too when they first introduced it. It almost seemed like they were doing like an open world thing, like Mario Party Advance. But I don't know. I haven't. I used to really like Mario Party, but I sort of fell off. I feel like these 2 boards that they showed off are pretty cool. Like I always kind of thought it would be cool if they did like a Mario Kart crossover board. And these 2 give me Coconut Mall and Mario Circuit vibes. And I don't know, I always thought it would be cool if they did that, or, like Rainbow Road, Waluigi Pinball. I think those would make for some really fun party boards. But I don't know, after 8, like the other times I've, tried to get back into it, it just hasn't hit as well as it used to. Then bringing back old boards and, base game, almost like Mario Kart's Retro Stages 2 is, I think, a really great idea. I don't know. Once again, I might cave on it eventually, especially if, it turns out pretty good and other people really like it. Comparatively to the series, in particular Super Mario Party, which I don't think I'm alone in, saying that didn't really hit as well as I was hoping. In particular, I'm surprised. I saw a lot of people predicting some Mario Party stuff. I don't know where that was coming from, but hey, they were right. The other major announcement, the thing to cap things off, or the thing that stood out the most to me, was Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. This is a really cool trailer. The game looks like it could be really fun. The thing is, Metroid's another series I've tried, and I feel like in defense of the series itself, I should probably give it a bit better of a try, particularly the Prime games, than I have. I've tried the 2D ones a few times and it just doesn't hit. But I only tried Prime 1 and it was right when my GameCube was dying. And I don't know. I wasn't really good. I felt like I was reading and performing a strategy guide more than actually playing the game because I just wasn't really good at, solving the puzzles or knowing where to go or anything. But in moments where that wasn't the case, I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed the world in that. Because this, like, I forget if I already said it or not, but it was right when my GameCube started to go off the disk drive on it. I just remember it froze up right when I reached, I think, Samus's first encounter with a Metroid, and I just stopped after that. So I don't know, because it's like I kind of want to go back to it, but I kind of don't want to start from the beginning. So it's like, do I just skip the rest of the 1 and go to 2? That doesn't really sit the best for me. I know there's other ways to play Prime 1, but once again, it's just a weird situation. But I don't know. Like I said, I just really liked this introduction in that, and Silex there at the end was really cool. A really badass introduction. I was wondering because, like I said, I'm not super familiar with the series. I think the lore is that he was in Prime Hunters, and I think you see his ship follow Samus at the end of Prime 3. I could be wrong about all of that. But I was wondering, because like I said, I feel like the renditions we have with them are like the DS and that. I was wondering how they would sort of translate that to, a modern system. And, I'm not disappointed. I think he looks really good. Some things that I thought also I would mention. I thought it was kind of funny because I watched Aaron Itmar. He general Nintendo channel, a lot of Smash stuff. If you like that sort of thing, you should check him out if you aren't aware of him. But I think he had like a short or something where I guess this trailer or like updated information leaked early, and it actually said today's date. So it was actually kind of a leak of the date of the direct before it was announced, which I just find that to be kind of interesting. Just kind of funny, the stuff like that you can find when you're paying attention. Speaking of videos, I find two of the other announcements kind of ironic because like a week or two ago, I watched like a retrospective about Switch Sports and how it was kind of a letdown and it just looks like it's dead now. And then they announced that they're actually updating it again, which is kind of surprising. I don't know how well it'll do. Like I said, I feel like the game doesn't have the best reputation, but good to see for the people who stuck around or really wanted this stuff. I'm sorry I don't remember the exact video and channel that previous video I mentioned came from, or this one. I think it was like something like obscure games stuck on 3DS. All good watches if you find them. But I just remember Denpa Men being mentioned in that video, and here they are on Switch now. I guess it's a new game. Never heard of it before, but hey, I saw the announcement and I actually knew what it was beforehand, which was interesting. Mario and Luigi Brothership. The only thing that's notable for me with this one is I'm kind of curious on who's developing it, because the original Mario and Luigi developers, I'm pretty sure, went out of business. It's surprising, but not to see all three of the big RPGs sort of see entries in such quick succession. I'm actually really surprised this was a full new game too, as opposed to a remake like the other two. I don't know. It is an interesting art style, but I will say, like, I don't know. It just looks really weird to me. Like some of like the stretching in that too. Like maybe it would grow on me, but like I said, I'm just not interested in Mario RPGs whatsoever. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy for Donkey Kong Country fans to get a little something. But when I saw that Tiki Tong and sort of, I think that's their name, right? I don't remember for sure. And see that this was Donkey Kong Country Returns for a third time is just really disappointing and lame in my opinion. When you rehash something for a third time without really a substantial, in my opinion, in at least one of the releases, like I'm sure it looks and plays better. I know, the one you're kind of stuck on the 3DS, and the other you're stuck with the Wii and motion controls and that. But I don't know. Those platforms. I feel like it's wasn't too hard to get a hold of Donkey Kong Country Returns if you really wanted to play it by this point. I just don't get it. I'm not into Donkey Kong Country either. But if I'm gonna shit on Last of Us for doing that, I'm gonna shit on Donkey Kong Country as well. Speaking of Sony, I mean, I think everyone's just really surprised about Lego Horizon. And, I think it's one thing for it to, be announced and, coming out for Switch. But I think it's another thing, too, to appear in a Direct. I feel like that kind of has gone under the radar. But it's just really nuts to think about. I don't really have much to say other than that. I'm not super interested in a Lego game. I would rather just play an actual Horizon game. Hopefully we'll pick it up soon on Steam. Not sure when I would get to play it, though. But yeah, really interesting deal, and I'm curious. I hope it does well because I'm curious as to how they would might look to follow it up. Stray, it's too little, too late. I didn't realize. I heard some people saying that they sort of recognize it more as a PS4 5 game. I didn't even realize that. I just sort of noticed it on Steam. I kind of look at it more from that platform, but I want to play the game. I have it on Steam. It's probably compatible with Steam Deck when I eventually get one. So this is just too little, too late, unfortunately. But still happy. I'm sure we can maybe reach some more people now, and that's good to see for both the platform and developer. Still looking at getting Little Kitty Big City at some point too. Last game here. I actually saw that this was hinted at online, so it's not a super big surprise. But to tell you the truth, I didn't even realize these games existed. Like I didn't know that they essentially had, a spin-off starring Miles Edgeworth. I think that's a good idea. He seems to be a really popular liked character. Kind of funny. I feel like you're seeing a bit of that now. You see it with, Shadow the Hedgehog as well recently. Even Zelda, sort of another popular major series, not main playable characters get their own little spotlight, which I think is cool to see. Want to get into the series at some point. We'll probably start with the Phoenix Wright games, though, but we'll see. I think I did get a couple of them on 3DS when the eShop was closing. Like a couple of, was it Apollo Justice, I think, the other ones? There's like a trilogy there. I think I have a couple of them. I have the Phoenix Wright trilogy. So, I don't know. I'd probably stick with what I got. But at the same time, if I really like it and I really like Edgeworth, maybe I would dive into this one a little sooner than expected. But once again, that's sort of depending on how it clicks when I get there. No Fire Emblem announcement, which was bittersweet. I know, because supposedly the rumor is that they're kind of sitting on a genealogy of the Holy War remake, and it's like, I don't know, we just had a game last year, so I'm not super itching for a new one. Plus Advanced Wars is kind of a sister series, and that also saw an entry. Plenty of tactical RPGs out there to play. And I think it would be good, but kind of not, to have it on the next system, to have a reason to buy it, but at the same time, if it could exist on Switch too, and I wouldn't have to wait as long to play it, because I normally don't get new consoles right away. Sometimes within the year, but not like at launch if it's like a launch game or something. At the same time, though, it's eventually going to come when you get to that new system, that the games are going to be over there only. So one of those, how quickly do you rip the Band-Aid off, But yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else. There were other announcements too, but nothing I feel like I have anything to really add to.